Most people send flowers to say I love you or I am sorry. But for a special breed of American customer, a fresh bouquet is just a new opportunity to speak with the manager. We are looking at 55 of the absolute weirdest complaints about florists, where the petals are beautiful but the attitudes are hideous. From people blaming plants for their bad luck to those who think lilies are spying on them, prepare for a level of entitlement that defies all logic and sense. 1. A customer was disappointed because her flowers did not turn into gold after they dried out. She had read some weird blog post about a specific type of rare flower that petrifies into a valuable metal. When her roses just turned brown and crunchy like normal plants, she accused the shop of selling her cheap knockoffs. She genuinely expected a return on her investment that would pay for her mortgage. Some people will believe literally anything they read on the internet as long as it promises them free money. 2. A woman actually called the police because she found a tiny spider on a leaf of her flower arrangement. She claimed the florist was running a biological warfare lab out of a basement and had sent a hitman insect to her home. She wanted a hazmat team to sweep her kitchen immediately. She genuinely believed the shop owner trained the spider to spy on her private life. It is a plant that grows outside, lady. Nature occasionally comes with a few hitchhikers. Does a single bug in a bouquet qualify as an assassination attempt in your world? 3. A lady once called to complain that her sunflowers were being far too cheerful while she was having a bad day. She felt the bright yellow petals were mocking her personal misery and demanded a more somber replacement. She actually asked for flowers that matched her dark and moody aesthetic of the week. It is a plant that literally follows the sun, not a mood ring for your emotional roller coaster. Can you imagine being so much of a main character that you think a bouquet is laughing at your life choices? 4. A paranoid man filed a complaint because he believed the florist hid tiny microphones inside his lilies. He heard a faint buzzing and was certain the shop was spying for a rival company to steal his trade secrets. He tore the flowers apart with pliers looking for wires and then wanted a refund when he found nothing but plant guts. He even accused the owner of being a government informant. Do you think people this suspicious should even be allowed to buy things with natural nooks and crannies? 5. One incredibly strange woman called to complain that her flowers were refusing to die. They had been fresh for 2 weeks, and she was bored of looking at them. She wanted to use the vase for a different project and felt that the longevity of the roses was a nuisance that was cluttering her house. She asked for a refund because the product exceeded her expectations for too long. If your biggest problem in life is that your flowers are too healthy and vibrant, you have officially won the lottery of ridiculous complaints. 6. A guy once demanded a refund because his bouquet did not grow an inch after 3 days in the vase. He was genuinely offended by the lack of progress. He told the shop owner that if he pays for life, he expects growth, not just stationary beauty. The florist had to explain the basic biological difference between a rooted plant and a cut stem. It is like complaining that your steak is not gaining weight on the plate. Some people skipped every single science class in middle school, and it really shows when they go shopping. 7. Imagine calling a florist to complain that the flowers you bought a week ago are now dead. One woman was genuinely furious that her tulips wilted after 7 days on her kitchen counter. She accused the shop of selling her defective products that were programmed to expire. She wanted a lifetime warranty on a cut flower. At what point do we stop calling these complaints and start calling them cries for help? Do you honestly think flowers should last longer than a full week? 8. Then there is the customer who was outraged because the florist refused to include a card that was just a list of the recipient's personal flaws. The florist said they do not do hate mail, but the customer argued it was a constructive bouquet. He claimed his freedom of speech was being violated by a person who sells daisies. Apparently, if you pay $20 for a bunch of carnations, you think you own the moral compass of the person holding the scissors. 9. Sarah was absolutely livid because her sympathy bouquet for a funeral was too pretty. Her complaint stated that the vibrant colors were making the mourners feel too good, and it was distracting from the overall sadness of the event. She actually wanted the flowers to look more depressed. Maybe some dead leaves or a light coating of gray dust would have satisfied her need for aesthetic misery. Who complains about something being too beautiful when you are in the middle of a funeral? 10. One very confused man filed a complaint because the flowers he sent his girlfriend did not work. When the florist asked what he meant, he explained that they were still fighting, so the flowers were clearly broken. He wanted a refund because the product failed to achieve the desired psychological effect. He treated a bouquet of roses like a mind control device. If flowers could actually fix toxic relationships, florists would be more powerful than most world leaders. 11. Brenda left a 1-star review because the lilies she ordered for her living room were, quote, too loud. No, they did not have speakers. She meant the scent was so aggressive it was literally bullying her guests. Brenda insisted the florist should have warned her that flowers actually have a scent. Imagine being so offended by nature that you demand a written apology from a small business owner because your house smells like a garden. Do you think shops should put warning labels on smelly plants? 12. Gary sent flowers to his ex-girlfriend hoping to win her back, but he filed a formal complaint because she liked them way too much. He claimed the quality was so high that she thanked him, but then stayed broken up with him anyway. He literally blamed the florist for his failed romantic life and his broken heart. He wanted the shop to call her and tell her the flowers were actually cheap trash, so she would feel guilty. Gary needs a professional therapist, not a bouquet of sunflowers and a refund. 13. One customer demanded a full refund because the flowers were not, quote, vegan enough for her lifestyle. When the florist asked for clarification, the woman explained that the fertilizer used in the nursery might have contained animal byproducts. She was offended that her roses had basically eaten steak to grow and bloom. She wanted a certificate of organic, plant-based upbringing for every single stem in the vase. How far are we going to take this? Can a plant even be vegan if it literally lives in the dirt? 14. Tiffany brought a bouquet back to the shop because the specific shades of pink clashed with her fresh spray tan. She insisted the florist should have looked at her Instagram profile to determine her skin undertones before choosing the roses. She claimed the flowers made her look jaundiced in her birthday post and demanded the shop pay for a professional photo editor to fix her grid. If your flowers do not match your fake tan, is it a retail emergency or just a desperate cry for attention? 15. A man with a literal protractor came into a small shop to complain about the lack of symmetry in his table arrangement. He was furious that the bouquet did not follow the Fibonacci sequence or the golden ratio perfectly. He claimed the visual imbalance was causing him physical migraines and was a clear sign of a lazy work ethic. It is an organic cluster of plants, not a blueprint for a skyscraper. Some people are just determined to find a reason to be miserable, even when they are surrounded by beauty. 16. Marcus filed a formal grievance because the delivery driver was, quote, too attractive. He claimed the florist purposely sent a male model to deliver roses to his wife just to make him look bad by comparison. He wanted the shop to promise to only send ugly people to his house in the future to protect his fragile ego. Imagine being so insecure that a guy holding a basket of daisies feels like a direct threat to your entire marriage and household. That is a lot of baggage for a delivery guy to carry. 17. A customer tried to sue a florist because her cat ate the lilies and threw up on her expensive rug. The florist pointed out that lilies are famously toxic to cats, but the lady argued the flowers should have had a big warning sign on every single petal. She claimed the flowers seduced her cat into eating them with their beauty. She wanted the shop to pay for a new rug and a psychic to talk to the cat. Do you think florists are responsible for what your pets decide to snack on? 18. One lady returned a bouquet of yellow roses because she had a flat tire the very next day. She was absolutely convinced the flowers were cursed and brought bad luck into her garage. She demanded the florist pay for her new tire and perform an exorcism on the shop to clear out the negative energy. Some people really believe that a bunch of flowers has the cosmic power to sabotage a Michelin tire. It is a rose, not a voodoo doll. Why do we blame plants for our own bad luck? 19. There was a complaint from a man who claimed the pansies in his window box were, quote, watching him. He said the little face-like patterns on the petals were judgmental and made him feel uncomfortable while he was eating his breakfast. He wanted the shop to replace them with flowers that did not have eyes. This is the level of paranoia we are dealing with in modern retail. Have you ever felt like a plant was silently judging your life choices from across the room? 20. A woman was furious because the flowers she received from an anonymous sender did not come with the name of the person who sent them. She accused the florist of being a co-conspirator in a stalking plot. When the florist explained the sender wanted to stay private, she threatened to call the FBI. She literally wanted the shop to break privacy laws because she could not handle a little mystery. Some people turn a nice gesture into a full-blown crime drama for no reason at all. 21. A customer once complained that the roses she received had thorns. Yes, you heard that right. She was shocked that a biological organism had its natural defense mechanism still attached to the stem. She claimed the florist was trying to physically harm her by not sanding down every single microscopic bump on the wood. She even suggested the shop should be inspected by the health department for selling dangerous weapons. Some people expect nature to come with a safety manual and a lawyer. 22. Samantha left a scathing review because her peonies were too introverted. She was mad because they were still in tight buds when they arrived and had not exploded into full bloom within the first 10 minutes. She accused the florist of selling her lazy flowers that refused to work. Samantha actually tried to pry the petals open with a butter knife and then complained when they bruised. Imagine having so little patience that you try to perform surgery on a plant because it is following its own natural schedule. 23. One customer was livid because the water in her glass vase turned slightly cloudy after 4 days. She did not want to change the water herself. She claimed the florist sold her leaking plants that were polluting her home environment. She demanded a technician come to her house to service the vase and scrub the glass. She treated a floral arrangement like a high-maintenance fish tank that required a professional cleaning crew. Do you think some people honestly believe that flower water stays crystal clear forever without any effort? 24. Robert was beyond frustrated because the roses he bought did not perfectly match the exact shade of his golden retriever fur. He was trying to take a family portrait and claimed the color clash was a visual disaster that ruined his holiday cards. He expected the florist to dye the petals to match the dog. When they refused, he called them artistically bankrupt. It is a level of perfectionism that borders on a medical condition. Since when did flowers need to be color coordinated with the family pet to be acceptable? 25. A woman called to complain because her flowers died almost instantly after she put them in a mixture of boiling water and floor cleaner. She heard a rumor online that it would disinfect the stems and make them last a month. When they turned into brown mush, she blamed the shop for not providing a list of chemicals that would kill the plant. She basically poisoned her bouquet and then asked for a manager because the victim did not survive the assault. You cannot fix that kind of logic with a fresh batch of daisies. 26. There was a customer who was offended because the florist used green tape to hold the arrangement together. She claimed the color green was, quote, too outdoorsy and clashed with her minimalist industrial aesthetic. She wanted the tape to be transparent or invisible. The florist explained that tape is a tool, not a decorative feature, but the woman insisted it was an eyesore. Some people focus so much on the tiny details that they completely miss the fact that they are looking at a beautiful piece of nature right in front of them. 27. Linda filed a formal complaint because the arrangement she bought was too tall and blocked her view of the television. Instead of moving the vase 2 inches to the left, she called the shop to demand they come over and prune it. She claimed the height was a safety hazard because she might miss a crucial plot point in her favorite show. It takes a special kind of laziness to call a professional business because you are too bothered to slide a glass vase across a coffee table. Is this the peak of human entitlement or just pure comedy? 28. One man was genuinely upset because he felt the bouquet he received was, quote, too feminine for his bachelor pad. He asked if the florist had any masculine flowers that did not look so sensitive. He was worried his friends would judge him for having colorful petals in his living room. He wanted the shop to replace the lilies with something that looked more rugged and aggressive, maybe some sticks or a very sharp cactus. It is wild how some people project their own insecurities onto a bunch of plants that are just sitting there being pretty. 29. A customer was furious because her outdoor flower display attracted a butterfly. She claimed she was terrified of flapping things and demanded the florist provide a chemical spray to keep all wildlife away from the blossoms. She wanted a garden that was essentially a sterile plastic zone but made of real living tissue. The idea of nature actually interacting with nature was a bridge too far for her. If you are that afraid of a butterfly, maybe you should stick to silk flowers and stay inside with the curtains closed. 30. There was a very strange complaint from a woman who said her flowers looked too real. Her guests thought they were fake because they were so perfect, and she felt that made her look cheap. She wanted the florist to intentionally damage a few leaves so people would know she spent a lot of money on fresh stems. She literally asked for an authentic struggle look for her bouquet. We have officially reached a point where perfection is considered a flaw because it does not fit someone's weird social narrative. 31. A woman filed a formal complaint because the delivery driver refused to enter her home and arrange the flowers on her specific dining room table. She expected him to move her existing centerpiece, polish the wood, and then give her a brief lecture on proper floral care. When he politely left the box at the door as per company policy, she accused the shop of abandoning her in a time of crisis. She claimed the lack of concierge service was a direct insult to her social standing. Since when does a delivery fee include a personal butler for your home decor needs? 32. Mrs. Higgins called the shop in a panic because she was convinced her new bouquet was stealing all the oxygen from her bedroom at night. She claimed she woke up feeling, quote, slightly breathless, and blamed the photosynthetic process for trying to suffocate her while she slept. She demanded the florist pay for a medical checkup and a brand new air purifier. It is a few stems of eucalyptus, Mrs. Higgins, not a carbon dioxide factory. Do you think people should be required to take a basic biology test before they are allowed to buy plants? 33. One customer left a scathing review because the florist did not intuitively know that she had a deep-seated hatred for the color orange. She never mentioned this preference during the order, but she expected the staff to read her aura or check her social media history for clues. When the bouquet arrived with 2 tiny orange lilies, she called it a personal attack on her mental well-being. Some people really believe that retail workers are equipped with psychic powers and a direct link to the customer's subconscious mind. 34. David was absolutely furious because his flowers arrived frozen solid after he left them on his front porch for 6 hours during a literal Montana blizzard. He claimed the florist should have checked the local weather radar and known that he would be too busy playing video games to open the door. He demanded a replacement and a warm apology for the cold reception his gift received. It is hard to wrap your head around someone blaming a shop for the laws of thermodynamics and their own total lack of common sense. 35. A bride once tried to sue her florist because one of her wedding guests had a mild sneezing fit during the ceremony. She claimed the shop was responsible for not vetting the medical records of all 50 attendees to check for pollen allergies beforehand. She wanted the florist to pay for the guests' antihistamines and give her a 50% discount for the ruined atmosphere. The level of entitlement required to think a flower shop is also a private medical investigative agency is truly off the charts. 36. One very intense woman returned a bouquet because the hidden language of the flowers was too aggressive. She had researched Victorian flower meanings and was convinced that the specific combination of petunias and basil meant the florist was secretly wishing her bad luck and financial ruin. The florist just thought they looked nice together, but the customer treated the arrangement like a coded death threat. Have you ever been so deep into a hobby that you started seeing sinister conspiracies in a simple bunch of garden herbs? 37. Mrs. Gable was extremely upset because her sunflowers were, quote, looking down at the floor instead of staring directly at her. She did not understand that heavy flower heads naturally droop due to gravity and the weight of the seeds. She accused the florist of selling her depressed plants that lacked a positive attitude. She even asked if there was a wire or a brace she could use to force them to maintain eye contact at all times. It is a plant, Mrs. Gable, not a soldier standing at attention for your personal approval. 38. A customer complained because the shadow cast by her large floral arrangement looked demonic on her wall at night. She claimed the silhouette of the ferns was giving her children nightmares and demanded the shop come over to prune the stems until the shadow looked more like a friendly puppy. She was genuinely offended when the florist suggested she just move the lamp or the vase. Some people will find a way to turn a beautiful gift into a horror movie plot just because they are bored with their own reality. 39. There was a guy who lost his mind because his flowers were delivered at 10 in the morning in California, while it was already 1 in the afternoon in New York. He claimed the florist was 3 hours late and had ruined the surprise for his mother. No matter how many times they explained how time zones work, he insisted that the shop was practicing deceptive scheduling. It is amazing how someone can have enough money to order luxury flowers, but not enough brain cells to understand the basic rotation of the earth. 40. Kevin from Texas decided to go on a digital rampage because the blue hydrangeas he bought were slightly more indigo than cornflower blue. He took a literal color swatch to the shop and demanded they explain the chemical imbalance in the soil that led to this botanical betrayal. He called it a bait-and-switch operation. It is a plant, Kevin, not a custom-painted sports car. How much free time do you need to have to bring a Pantone chart to a flower shop just to start a fight? 41. One guy in Ohio lost his mind because the dozen roses he bought for his anniversary only had 11 stems in the vase. He did not just want the missing rose. He wanted the florist arrested for intentional emotional distress. He claimed the missing flower caused his wife to suspect he was cheating. Is your marriage really that fragile if one missing stem leads to a call to a divorce lawyer? Tell me in the comments if you would actually notice a single missing rose in a massive bouquet. 42. Barbara left a furious review because her hydrangea drank all the water in the vase by the second morning. She accused the shop of selling her a defective plant with a serious drinking problem. She actually claimed the florist was trying to drive up her monthly water bill by providing such a thirsty organism. Barbara, it is a living thing that needs hydration to survive, not a plastic decoration from the dollar store. 43. One customer demanded a full refund because her outdoor hanging basket attracted a single bumblebee. She was terrified of insects and claimed the florist should have treated the flowers with a heavy dose of industrial-grade bug repellent. She wanted a nature experience without any of the actual nature parts. When the shop explained that bees are a good sign of healthy flowers, she threatened to call her lawyer for emotional distress. It is wild how people want the beauty of a garden but expect it to be a sterile laboratory. 44. A teenager brought in a heavily filtered and clearly AI-generated image from social media and demanded an exact replica. When the florist explained that those neon glowing petals do not exist in the real world, the girl accused them of being outdated and lazy. She literally thought the shop was hiding the secret glowing flowers in the back for more exclusive clients. We are living in a time where people cannot tell the difference between a digital render and a real biological organism. 45. Jerry sent a massive bouquet to himself at his office, but then filed a complaint because not enough coworkers commented on them. He blamed the florist for the lack of attention, claiming the arrangement was not loud enough to stop people in their tracks. He wanted a refund because his social experiment to look popular failed miserably. Imagine being so desperate for validation that you blame a small business owner because your desk neighbors are too busy working to notice your roses. 46. One woman complained that her red tulips were literally screaming at her from across the kitchen. She meant the color was so vibrant it was giving her a sensory overload and making her nervous. She wanted them replaced with something extremely bland and beige. She basically wanted a flower that looked like a piece of dry cardboard so it would not disturb her peace. 47. A customer named Cheryl walked into a boutique florist and was immediately offended by the smell of wet soil. She claimed it was unhygienic and reminded her of being outside, which she apparently hates. She demanded that the shop use heavy air fresheners to mask the natural scent of the very things they are selling. It is like going to a bakery and complaining that it smells too much like fresh bread. Cheryl, if you want a sterile environment, maybe you should go to a hospital instead of a plant shop. 48. A guy complained that his bouquet was too perfect and therefore looked fake. He was mad that his girlfriend did not believe he spent $50 on real flowers. He wanted the florist to go to his house and prove they were real by tearing off a few petals in front of her. When the shop refused to provide a professional witness for his relationship, he called them scammers. It is a strange world where being too good at your job is considered a punishable offense by the customer. 49. Steve was very upset because the wildflowers he bought were far too optimistic for his apartment. He was going through a phase and wanted something that looked more dead and withered, but without the smell of actual decay. He claimed the shop misled him by selling him healthy plants that were radiating too much joy. It is hard to stay in a bad mood when you have a bunch of bright daisies on your nightstand, and Steve was not ready to let go of his sadness just yet. 50. A bride in Florida actually filed a formal complaint because her wedding bouquet was way too hydrated. She claimed the stems were dripping and ruined her expensive satin dress, even though she held them for 2 hours in 90-degree heat. It is a flower, Karen. It needs water to not turn into dust within seconds. She demanded a full refund for the flowers plus the entire dress cleaning bill. Who actually thinks a living plant is supposed to be bone dry during a humid summer wedding? 51. Amanda decided she wanted her anniversary roses to last forever, so she stuck the entire vase in her deep freezer overnight. When she took them out and they immediately turned into black, slimy mush, she called the shop screaming about a defective product. She genuinely believed the freezer would turn them into permanent ice sculptures like in a movie. She demanded the florist pay for her ruined dinner plans because the centerpiece was a total disaster. It is amazing how someone can reach adulthood without understanding how ice crystals destroy delicate plant cells. 52. Jason filed a formal complaint because the florist delivered flowers to his girlfriend after they had broken up that morning. He expected the shop to have a direct link to his relationship status and automatically cancel the order the second he changed his Facebook profile. He claimed the delivery made him look desperate and demanded the shop pay for his social embarrassment and a full refund. Some people treat small businesses like they are part of a global surveillance network that monitors every single text message and argument in real time. 53. One woman was livid because her long-stem roses were leaning slightly to the left in their glass vase. She claimed the florist was clearly biased against her home decor and was making a weird political statement through her flowers. She actually used a level tool from her garage to prove the stems were at a dangerous angle. She wanted a technician to come over and install tiny wooden braces to keep the flowers perfectly vertical. Have you ever been so bored that you started a political debate with a bunch of roses and a construction tool? 54. Brendan called the police because he thought the florist stole the scent out of his carnations. He claimed he bought them specifically for the smell. But by the time he got home, they were silent. He was convinced the shop owner used a special vacuum to suck the fragrance out to resell it to a perfume company. The police actually had to explain that noses get used to smells after a while. It is a terrifying thought that people like this are out there driving cars while suspecting flower shops of high-tech scent theft. 55. A customer was furious because her wedding bouquet did not look exactly like the one her grandmother had in a grainy black and white photo from 1950. She accused the florist of using modern flowers that lacked the soul of the past. She wanted the shop to find a way to time travel or locate a nursery that still grew flowers exactly as they were 70 years ago. We have reached the final level of entitlement when you expect a local business to bend the laws of time and space to satisfy your weird sense of nostalgia. 20. That is the end of our journey through the total madness of the floral industry. It is clear that some people expect nature to follow their personal rules or fix their broken lives with a few stems of greenery. It makes you wonder how these florists keep a straight face while being accused of hiding microphones in lilies or cursing a lottery ticket. Have you ever witnessed someone lose their mind over a plant? Drop your stories in the comments. Hit that like button and subscribe for more.